Jamaal, it's. I think it's been about a decade now since I've been trying to get you on a podcast.
I hope it hasn't been that long, but if it has been, my apologies. I'm sorry.
Listen, finally.
Thank you,
brother.
Appreciate you, Mike. Thank you for your patience, man.
Now, I'm sure I don't have to give you any introduction because people already know who you are. But, I made a list here. I couldn't fit everything on these little Mike Roach. What do they call these again? Cue cards?
Cue cards.
All right, well, let's see. All right, so community ambassador for the Raptors. Okay. Drafted 19th by Charlotte in 2000. You played 12 years in the NBA. Can you name all 8 teams?
I can.
Right off the bat.
I can.
Let's see. Go ahead.
Let's start with the Charlotte Hornets, and then we moved to New Orleans, and then I went to Milwaukee. From Milwaukee, I went to Portland. From Portland, I went to New Jersey.
Yep.
From New Jersey, I went to Dallas. From Dallas, I went to Miami. From Miami, I went to Toronto.
Bang on.
Wow.
Yeah. Bang on.
I had to think about that.
NCAA champion with Kentucky in your sophomore year.
Yes. Yeah, we got to the finals in my freshman year. We lost in overtime to the Arizona Wildcats, and then the next year we came back and won the whole thing.
Assistant coach and champion as a coach for the Toronto Raptors.
Absolutely. The best team in the world, in my opinion. We have the organization, we have the culture, we have the front office staff, and we had the arguably the best coach in the NBA at that time.
Founder, Jamaal Magloire Foundation?
Absolutely, giving back to the community that has given so much to me. I go back to all the years that I've been away from home, my trials and tribulations. The city of Toronto has always had my back, so I feel like I'm indebted to give back to the ones that have looked out for me, whether I was good, bad, or ugly.
Father,
absolutely. I have a 25-year-old son. He was born in Lexington, Kentucky when I went to school, and lives with me here now, and I'm very proud of him.
Vice President and Senior Advisor of the Scarborough Shooting Stars.
A passion of mine to give back to my community again, being able to bring a championship not only with the Toronto Raptors, but to bring a championship in the Canadian Elite Basketball League for the Scarborough Shooting Stars is definitely one of the accolades that I will always cherish and remember for the rest of my life. Scarborough means so much to me, and in order to have a professional team in my backyard that I'm a part of from the inaugural year, I feel humbled.
Folks, I would say more, but as you can see here, ain't no more damn space to write on here, okay? Do you ever wake up, a kid from Scarborough, born and raised, right?
Yes.
Do you ever wake up or lay down in bed at night and think just, how did I get here?
I do. I know that I've worked very hard. I am very militant in obtaining success, but I know a lot of it had to do with luck as well. Having a good foundation and having both parents that raised me in the house, having people that cared about me. I was bad. I was miserable as a young man, as a kid, but with the help of a village, which is my community, which is the neighborhood I grew up in, they rallied together and they made sure that they propelled me to where I need to be and where I am today.
Now, you speak about a village, right? And it's crazy because, there's a bunch of players coming out of Toronto and Canada now, right? And, out of any player that I've seen, I don't think I've seen anyone in the community more than you. And I want to know exactly, first of all, why you want to be in the community. And it may sound like a silly question, but trust me, there are a lot of players out there who don't do a damn thing for their community. Okay, so where did that come from?
It came from the trials and tribulations that I've went through as a kid here in the city, leaving town and coming back and seeing the same thing that I left as an 18-year-old, coming back home as a 35-year-old. And I feel like too often than not, we don't have enough presence. And I feel kids nowadays kind of tend to listen or at least watch what musicians and athletes do. So we have a platform that we could use to do and say the right things in order to give kids a chance and an opportunity. And I know for me personally, the only two people I can remember that had any sort of influence on me as a kid when I was in elementary school was Everton Marcus and Lennox Lewis. And they both came to St. Timothy's Elementary School and spoke to us. And I was just a kid. So I feel like those are the memories that I remember. We didn't have the NBA at that time, but there was what do you call it?
I don't know what
Olympics gold. I mean, in Lennox and Mr. Marcus, he was the silver medalist, and Lennox was the gold medalist.
Lennox was a beast.
Olympians. That's what I was trying to say. Olympians.
Okay.
Right. You know, to be in the presence of Olympians, it kind of changed how I thought about sports, and it really, really gave me an insight. So that's what I try and do too. You know, being an NBA basketball player, I know I have a platform. I know there's things that kids want to know in order to get to where I was, and I could help them. So they'll listen, and I need to use that as a platform to get my word out.
You know, I mentioned now VP and Senior Advisor for the Scarborough Shooting Stars, okay? Now, that's a fancy title. Okay, what does that entail?
That entails doing everything and anything. In the CEBL, we're a developing league. We have 10 teams right now, 5th year of existence, though it's only our 3rd year of existence with the Scarborough Shooting Stars. So being the vice president and senior advisor of the Shooting Stars kind of entails everything. I mean, even getting water for our guys, scouting, recruiting, teaching. You know, being a vice president, I know you have a coaching side and then you have a front office side, but in our league, you know, it's all hands on deck. So with me, I think my value to the team is that I'm a jack of all trades. I've coached in the NBA for 12 years. I've played in the NBA for 12 years. And there's a lot that I could teach these young guys that are trying to get to where I played, and a lot of the guys that I've coached played.
Who approached you to do this? Like, how did it come about?
Actually, it was Coach Nurse. Coach Nurse brought me into his office after our season in Tampa, and he mentioned that Scarborough is going to have a professional team, and he thinks it would be great for me to be a part of it because of how I feel about Scarborough and about how Scarborough felt about me, and it would be a great opportunity for me to not only understand the coaching aspect of the NBA or professional sports, but the managerial and front office as well. So I embraced it, and the rest is history.
I mean, I think that's a pretty good call. Coach Nurse seemed like a pretty good dude. I never really got to meet him when he was here. I like this new coach that we have now in Darko as well. But, yeah, I mean, I think from a front office standpoint, for the Raptors at least, they've done a good job in bringing in those solid pieces. Now, Jamaal, when you look at the team, right, what is your focus for the Scarborough Shooting Knights coming up this season? Because we know this league has some ballers in there, okay, on all of these different teams. But are you looking for a certain mentality, a certain type of what's the word that I'm looking for? No, the perfect word, not the makeup of the team, but the identity of the team, right? Because I think every good team has an identity, right? So when you're looking at the Scarborough Shooting Stars, do you have in mind sort of what you want the identity to look like?
We do. I mean, we have multiple conversations about how we want our team to be perceived.
Yeah.
Sorry, we have multiple conversations about how we want our team to be perceived. We want our team to represent our town. And if you look at Scarborough, you look at resilience, you look at blue-collar workers, you look at, unfortunately, a lot of trials. I watch CP24 7 days a week, and out of the 7 days, you'll always hear something negative about Scarborough.
Mm-hmm.
So having a professional basketball team here in the town, I think, is a shot in the right direction. It gives kids a chance to dream and aspire. You know, not every young person is going to play in the NBA, but we're offering an alternative in playing in the CEBL. And in what I've learned in the game of professional sports is that there's so many other roles other than being on that court and being a basketball player that you could still reap the benefits of winning championships and learning and growing as a basketball person. When we won in 2019 with the Toronto Raptors, you know, everybody is on the team. Mm-hmm. The president, the general manager, the scouting, the marketing, the foundation, like it's everybody. So what we try and teach is that there's life after basketball and that there's so many other leagues, there's so many other positions that basketball could give you an opportunity to do, work, and make a living from.
Yeah.
And going back to your question, it's just like our identity is being hard-nosed, blue-collared, resilient soldiers, and that's our identity. We want to grind and win by overwhelming you with our energy.
What advice would you give to somebody who's college, university, right? Because I saw they had the draft. Was it last week or the week before?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. What advice would you give to a young player making that jump, right, from the college, university ranks up to the pros?
My advice would be just to continue to put your nose down and work. One thing that I learned and what I pat myself doing as a young person that was trying to get to the NBA is not taking no for an answer. I go back to some of the memories that I came up with when I used to go into other arenas and they used to say, Magloire can't score, Magloire can't score. And I used that as a power to propel me because I was known as a defensive player. I could block shots, I could rebound, I had the tenacity, but I couldn't score. And I wanted to prove people different, so I continued to work. So, like, negativity is going to happen, constructive criticism, learn to deal with it, and use it as motivation. Like, my motivation was watching my mom and dad work every single day, you know, blue-collar workers. Mm-hmm. And my passion was trying to get them to retire early o'clock. So, with that being said, I would refuse to lose. And that's the mentality that our shooting stars have, and that's a mentality that you young men have to have as well.
Jamaal, those days, man, like, was there any day where you felt like I just can't do this anymore?
Yeah, there was a few days. I go back in time. I go back to when I was playing for the New Jersey Nets. I wasn't getting in the game at all. Didn't understand why. The people ahead of me, I thought I was better than. But obviously the coach had other plans. And I remember contemplating on retiring after playing 8 years in the NBA, and I just continued to push forward, continued to work, didn't burn any bridges, thank God. Mm-hmm. And opportunity came the next year when I went from New Jersey Nets to Miami Heat, and I ended up extending my career, 4 more years.
Yeah.
So contemplating retiring because I wasn't playing in New Jersey to continuing to put my nose down and fight got me 4 more years in the NBA, and now potentially another 12 years as a coach. Because if I didn't play for Miami Heat, I might not have played for the Toronto Raptors. Mm-hmm. And if I didn't play for the Toronto Raptors, I might not have coached for the Toronto Raptors.
True.
And, that the rest is history. So I'm a living tale of pursuing your dreams and not taking no for an answer and finding alternate ways to get the shit done.
I think that is key.
Yeah.
That is important. You can't take no for an answer overall. Like, I find that is a very key message that you have to teach young people? Because they quit easily. Yeah. And I'm going to say I've been there as well. I mean, you're looking at a guy I'm doing with a podcast with you. Everything that I brought here is all mine because I'm trying to do things to just make something happen at the end of the day, right? You see, I've been seeing you around for a long time. I've been seeing you on Scotiabank Arena's floor for a very long time. You know I've been trying to do this with you for a minute.
Absolutely, and I appreciate it. You've been so patient with me. I know when I was coaching, my schedule was a little bit different. It was a little bit more strenuous. But now in this role that I have, it's precious. I have time to do a lot more, give a lot more back to the community, and it's an opportunity that I'm going to seize.
How many times I text you in the last week? I've been annoying your ass.
No, you haven't been annoying me. It was all good. This is something I've wanted to do for a long time, and I thank you. You've just opened so many doors for me, my band, my mass camp, and
this is beautiful in here, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
So you mentioned going to the Miami Heat. Now, who did you? I mean, you played with LeBron. You played with D. Wade, and not necessarily them specifically, but who did you play with in your NBA career that really taught you some important messages?
There's a lot of guys. I started playing with P.J. Brown that really instilled.
Go closer now.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I started with P.J. Brown that really instilled what a professional should be and what it should look like. And then you have a star in Baron Davis that was probably my all-time favorite teammate that we just had a synergy and played so well together. That taught me a lot, even though he was just a year earlier than I in the draft. Going into Portland, Zach Randolph, a bona fide pro, taught me so much. Brandon Roy, LaMarcus Aldridge, those guys were rookies and still teaching. Going to New Jersey, Jason Kidd, Vince Carter had a big influence on my career, especially Vince Carter, playing with him in New Jersey. Showed me the ropes, embraced me as soon as I got there. Jason Kidd, I lived in his building, talked a lot, watched a lot of film together. He ended up going to Dallas in a trade, and I followed him the next week.
Oh, okay.
Going to the same team that he was there, so we actually played on two different teams in the same year. And obviously LeBron, a leader by example. Dwayne Wade, same thing. It's probably another one of the best guys that I've ever known. Went through a lot of common trials with him personally, things that he was going through in his life that I was going through at the same time that we could sit down and talk and powwow about, which made him so much more human than what people perceive us as NBA players to be.
People think you guys are robots.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So talking to him about some of the same challenges I had really helped me during my time in Miami. And then Toronto, Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, those are born leaders. And all of these guys have had a tremendous influence on my career, my life, the way I think about people, the way I do things. And it's like we're continuing to get better and we're continuing to learn and ask questions. And those are the kind of guys that you want in your circle in order to get to where you need to go.
I missed one thing when I was mentioning your accolades. You're a former All-Star.
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy about your All-Star? Not crazy, but what's cool about your All-Star? You were voted into the All-Star game by the coaches. All right? Now, I mean, I'm not discrediting or taking away, like, going into the All-Star game through injury or whatnot. Yeah. But it must be pretty nice to get into the All-Star game voted in by coaches, What did you learn from that experience? Because that is only a handful of guys could ever say they've ever been an NBA All-Star.
Yeah. It's definitely one of the most happy memories of my career. being an NBA All-Star, being on the court with the 24 best players in the world.
And you were a bad dude that season. I remember.
Yeah. It's so surreal, so humbling, and the fact that the coaches picked me, it kind of resonated a little bit different because the fans kind of like what they like. They have their favorite players, but these coaches are in the fray every single game, every single day. So they really have a understanding of what it takes to be an all-star, and to be picked by the coaches was great. And what an experience. I was able to bring my family and friends to LA that year, and being in LA, such a big city, it was great. But not only to take away that I played as an NBA All-Star in 2004, but I also coached twice in the NBA All-Star game with both coaches of the year, and Coach Dwayne Casey and Coach Nick Nurse. So I've had 3 stints in the NBA All-Star game, 1 as a player and 2 as a coach. So I've been very, very lucky to be coached by coaches of the year and be in an organization that is second to none.
Have you ever thought about coaching in the pros?
I have. It's a lifelong dream of mine. But right now, I like what I'm doing. I like being in the front office. I like learning about the business of basketball. You know, as a coach, you're in basketball operations.
Yeah.
Now I'm learning the business of basketball. I'm learning about how.
Come closer.
Sorry, I'm learning about.
You're 7 feet tall,
yeah.
Jamaal, okay?
Sorry, I'm learning about the business of basketball as opposed to basketball operations, and it's very, very, very informative. There's 2 sides to the coin. You know, there's us as basketball players and coaches, but on the other hand, you have marketing, you have diversity, equity, and inclusion. You have global partnerships. You have a lot. You have ticketing. You have a lot of other moving parts that keep our organization going. And to be able to have the opportunity to learn both sides of the coin, I'm going to embrace that for as long as they will have me.
So now that you're getting a taste of this front office life, right? What do you like most about the CEBL in your journey with the CEBL thus far?
I like the fact that I'm able to take what I've learned from our training in my day job with the Raptors and implement it in our CEBL team. I know Nick Nurse, Dwayne Casey, Masai, Bobby's pedigree works because it has worked at the highest level. And to sit back and watch them each and every day for 10 years or more and be able to take some of those examples and ideas to the CEBL is, I think, what is the most gratifying part to my job is helping Canadians develop the game of basketball, help this league develop, and help Scarborough Shooting Stars win more championships.
Talk to me about Mike. You know, give me your opinions on him, because he seems like he's doing a fantastic job running this league.
Mike has done a great job. He's so personable, business savvy. I think he is an innovator. I can't wait to see this league in the next 5 years, and I hope they would have me stick around. But this league is nothing short of the best. They put their best foot forward with the resources they have. It is professional, and it's something that I hope I could be a part of for a long time.
The Elam ending is the real deal.
Yeah.
I mean, for real. Like, that takes the end of the game to another level. You love that?
I do. I think it's a new way of looking at the game. It gives you a second opportunity to win. The coaching theory is different in Elam, and that's what makes our league great, is the fact that we do things different. And one thing that Nick Nurse taught us as assistant coaches is that you have to be creative, you have to be different, you have to be innovative, and you have to keep making changes. Everything is changing on the fly. You can't be in your archaic ways of what you learned or what somebody taught you. You got to adapt to the field and adapt to the system. And the way the CEBL is running the Elim is what comes to mind for me.
Now, we talked about you being such a big community guy, right? What do you think you would have done if you didn't play basketball professionally?
I think I would have been doing something in social work. I always believed that I had a voice, I had a platform, whether I played basketball or not. I could make a difference. I could help people. I could teach. And I think that's probably what I would be doing if it wasn't for playing basketball. But I'll be honest, I put all my eggs in one basket. In my heart, I would not take no for an answer, and I did everything in my power to make sure that I was going to play in the NBA. And looking back on it, some of it may have been good, and some of it may have been bad. But training, getting in shape, waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, running stairs, running the University of Kentucky football stadium ramps and stairs, it was all worth it, you know. And looking back, maybe I didn't warm up properly, maybe I didn't go with anybody, you know, but at that time it was just time to work. And as a result, you see what you see.
I heard you on another podcast, and I can't remember who it was, but somebody asked you, if you can go back in time, would you change anything? And you said, yes, there are many things that I would change. And I love that answer, because I hear a lot of the time people ask that question. People go, no, I wouldn't do anything differently. How the hell would you not do anything differently? I look at my life as a dude who's 36 years old. I have a beautiful wife. I have 2 kids. And trust me, I would do things differently if I could go back. Yeah. Okay? So when you say you would do things differently, I heard you say you would have listened to your mother more, right, in regards to, I guess, certain things. I'm not sure what. But what would you do differently?
Well, you know, hindsight, they say, is always 20/20, and knowing what I know now as a NBA coach, you know, vice president of the Shooting Stars, Kentucky basketball player, NBA player, I would have done and trained a lot differently. The things that I know now as an adult, as far as mobility and strength training, agility training, if I could do that 20 years ago, I think I would have had a longer career. I think if I would have took even life seriously, not that I didn't take it seriously, because I was very professional in everything I did, but there's always room for more. And I feel like if I would have known what I know now as a 45-year-old man, not only would I have been able to play a longer time, I would have been able to be a better player. And that's probably the reality of the world, you know, with everybody. Looking back on 20 years of what you think you could have did better, it's like night and day.
Yeah.
So I continue to grow. I continue to ask questions. This is my 24th year in the NBA, and
that's
I'm still
time.
learning. Yeah, it's a very long time. So I'm continuing to learn, and
more than half your life.
Yeah, it's more than half my life. I'm 45 and been working now for 24 years. So I am very, very happy at this position I'm in, and as you see, I could continue to give back where I can with the carnival and all the different initiatives that we do in the summertime. So be a part of it, you know.
A couple more before we get out of here, okay? This is just a question looking at you as a big brother, right? Is there anything that you really valued when you were younger and as you got older? And when I mean younger, I mean at around the time you were going into the NBA. And you look back now and you say, I don't give a crap about that at all.
Yeah, I think for me, what people think initially, as a young man, you always worry about what people think or what they'll say. And I know now as an adult, I don't give a damn. I have paid my dues. I have given everything to everybody, and I'll continue to do so. So I think for me, is not caring about what people say and think anymore. Is something that I was concerned about as a young man, and that I'm not even worried about now.
Is there a specific thing that happened that made you change in that mindset?
I don't think anything happened. I think it's just getting older. I think it's knowledge and wisdom. I think it's my tolerance too. As you get older, you don't tolerate as much. All those things contribute to me not giving a damn what people say or think anymore. I'm going to do what I have to do in order to give back to this community, whether it's unorthodox or not. You see these costumes, but there's thousands of young people that are excited to be a part of this, that gives them an alternative. And I like what I do. I'm very happy in my shell. My support system is impregnable, and I'm just looking forward to getting better and growing as a person.
What has being a father taught you?
Being a father has taught me patience. I grew up a certain way in my life. I grew up with both my parents. I grew up with capital punishment. And now it's totally different.
Capital punishment. That is the right words to use.
Yeah,
I'll say
capital
that.
punishment. And I'm very endeared to that because I don't know where I would have been otherwise. And now it's just a different dynamic. And that's the one thing is what I've learned as being a father. You got to be patient.
You know what I learned as well about being a father now as well before we get out of here? Grace.
Yeah.
Learning to give your parents grace.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you look at them when you're younger. You look at them like Superman and Superwoman, right? But at the time, you don't really understand that they're still going through things as a parent, too. And you don't understand that until you get older.
Yeah.
That was my biggest thing I learned about being a parent. But Jamaal, before we get out of here, last question. What are you looking forward to the most in regards to the CEBL this season? Close us out.
I'm looking forward to the Scarborough Shooting Stars developing young talent, continuing to work with our guys, helping them reach their goals and their dreams. I know every single player in the CEBL wants to be a part of the NBA or wants to have some sort of job or position in the NBA or with basketball in general. We are here to develop, we are here to push, and we are here to grow the game of basketball in Canada. Very happy to be a part of the Shooting Stars. We're here for good, and the CEBL is the league to watch for the future.
Jamaal Magloire, Canadian basketball legend, vice president and senior advisor for the Scarborough Shooting Stars.
Thank you.
I've been waiting 10 years, Jamaal.
You've been a true pro. Thank you. Thank you,
Appreciate
big brother.
you,
I
brother.
appreciate you, brother.
Thank you,
Loving the host.